to manage chronic diseases, and I redefine the chronic disease as oxidative stress-related diseases, and the reason, because we find out that all those degenerative disease, autoimmune, cancer, chronic inflammation, metabolic disease, they have a common denominator, which is high pathological free radicals. And our treatment is to restore the redox potential, restore normality of the redox metabolism back to normal. And if you do that, you can slow the progression of all these chronic diseases. And also, we developed diagnostic testing to monitor the efficacy of our treatment using AMS, pseudomotor testing, endothelial function test. It helps to monitor the wellness treatment. So when you are doing with Dr. Catherine, all those detoxification means you're removing the free radicals, right? The bad free radicals. And what is free radicals? It's generated by the oxygens. So the free radicals are rusting of the body. Inflammation can lead to generation of free radicals, which goes rusting and eating the body. So whether you have degenerative disease or whether you have chronic inflammation or autoimmune, they generate pathological free radicals, rusting, oxidation that damage the tissue. So they have the same common mechanism in damaging the tissue. And so what we do, we try to neutralize those free pathological bad oxidation and rusting by detoxifying the body, by giving nutrition that helps to neutralize those free radicals and decrease the inflammation, by managing your microbiome, which Dr. Catherine yesterday, she's talking about it. And yes, we use evidence-based medicine, everything, oral protocols is based on published research. We monitor the treatment using objective diagnostic testing, and all the mechanism of actions is being cleared so we can get the mainstream doctors on the board with us. Is this a new field? Yes, because redox metabolism and the chemistry is not in the medical books yet. So that's the gap we're trying to fill. Once the doctors, the mainstream doctors, understand the redox signaling and they understand that redox control all the physiology of your body, and also it's behind the pathology, it's a factor in the pathology of all these diseases, then the mainstream doctors will be moving forward, adapting, doing the detox, doing the microbiome treatment, doing photodynamic treatment. But we need to speak their language in order for them to bring them on the table. So they know, those mainstream doctors, that if they want to treat cancer, they give chemotherapy and radiotherapy. But the question is, how? You ask them how chemotherapy works, how radiotherapy works. They will tell you, well, we generate free radicals from all this treatment, and those free radicals will induce apoptosis, will kill the cells and cause cell death. So now they understand that free radicals is the reason of killing the cell. Then you tell them, well, that's true, so we can do the same thing with photodynamic therapy, and we give them people those photosensitizers, we activate, we generate free radicals. So they will be on the board with us, and they start adapting photodynamic therapy. So that's the one side of the redox. There's other side of redox that when they are injecting stem cells in the body, you need to activate them, so you need to increase the physiological, the good roses, to kickstart those stem cells and differentiate. So you need to explain that to the mainstream doctors, but you need to speak their language. So the way we can bring them on the table, explaining that there is the importance of physiological stress in our body, is that you can tell them, when an astronaut travels to the moon, what will happen to his body? What do you expect? If there's no gravity, what will happen to their body? No gravity, astronaut, right? What do you think?
Do the muscles
So they will have atrophy in the muscle, atrophy in their bones. So when they return that down to the earth and there's normal gravity, where they put them, the crutches, right? And they have to go through all this physical therapy. So why that happened? It happened because in the moon there's no stress, no gravity, nothing that stressed their body. And if you don't have any stressing signals, you don't have any physiological free radicals, you cannot, what would happen is very important because you need that to stress your muscles to start growing, and they start secreting growth factors, anti-inflammatory and antioxidant and growth factor to help to maintain the bulk of your muscles and bulk of your bones. So if there's no stress, they end up with atrophy. So we need the stress. If we don't exercise, what will happen to our body? Atrophy, right? So we need to exercise to make our muscles strong and our bones strong. So the exercising is a form of stress. You're increasing the free radical, the physiological, not the pathological, enough to cause your tissue to generate growth factors that will stimulate the growth of your muscles and the growth of your bones. So it's very important that we have some sort of stressing. Otherwise, if you don't have this physiological stressing, you will end up with disease. So that's the concept of redox. And that's the concept of how there is both sides. There's bad reactive oxygen species and there's good. So you need that physiological level to maintain the health. But once it goes too much high, then you will end up with all this autoimmune, degenerative disease, and all those bad rusting and damaging to your body. And so all those diseases that we are managing, whether it is Alzheimer, whether it is cancer, whether it is inflammation, whether it is degeneration, whether it is autoimmune, they all have a common pathophysiology, which is increasing in the pathological free radicals. And we will manage those conditions by trying to buffer and reduce those bad guys, those bad pathological free radicals. We can start by giving detox, removing all those toxins can generate free radicals, by managing the microbiome of the gut, because what will happen if you had bad bacteria in your gut? They will damage the lining of your GI and causing all the toxins, which is free radical generators, and aggravate your autoimmune, aggravate your rheumatoid arthritis, aggravate Alzheimer's. So it's very important to go to Dr. Catherine so she can fix your microbiome and seal that, preventing the toxins from aggravating your chronic conditions, whether that chronic is degenerative or chronic disease, whether it's autoimmune or chronic inflammation, name it. All those, they have a common thing, which is pathological free radicals. Other things we can do, nutraceutical. Nutraceutical can help to neutralize your pathological free radicals and turn it back to normal. So thiols, nitric oxide, polyphenols, curcumin, all this helps to keep that pathological level of free radicals back to normal physiological level. And that's helped to slow the progression of all your disease. If you have diabetes, hypertension, all of that can be improved just by detoxifying the body and by managing the microbiome, by giving nutrition, by exercising, by lifestyle. All of this may help to slow the progression of these diseases. So also the mainstream doctors up to now, they don't know that the cell cycle, which makes the cell to divide and differentiate and proliferate, is under the control of your redox potential. It's electric potential, or redox potential. And we find out the normal cell, the redox potential, the electricity inside them, it's minus 400 to minus 300, right? So if you want to make the cell to divide, you have to increase the electricity, the redox potential inside them to minus 100 or minus 240, minus millivolt. Once that, what will happen, your cells will sense that and they start dividing, right? And that's what's happening when we are giving light therapy. You know, light therapy helps to increase the free radical, the physiological level, to stimulate your stem cells of your body to divide. And when it goes, the the redox potential goes to 220, your cells stop dividing, and then when it's above 200, it differentiate. But if you go too much, what would happen? When you have disease and you have too much of free radicals, bad guys, not the good guys, and it gets into 170 and 140, what would happen? You would have apoptosis, you're killing your cells, and you end up with necrosis. So that we can stop it by giving all this nutrition, detox, to keep it at the level of stimulating the stem cells. It's very important that your body, your cells needs to be renewed all the time, and you do have stem cells in your body, and that will replace the bad cells, the cells that's been dying or aging. So your body needs to keep the redox potential at that physiological level, and if it can't, because if you have disease or genetic errors or environmental toxins, then you need to seek help from the doctor to prescribe you some nutraceutical, fixing your microbiome, the detox, giving you energy medicine, light therapy may help as well in buffering the redox and normalize your stem cell proliferation and replacement of those bad cells or dead cells. Okay, so in photodynamic therapy, what we do, we inject into the body photosensitizers, and they concentrate into the cancer. We make sure those photosensitizers are in a nanoparticle. We wrap them into that. They're not naked. We wrap them into the nanoparticle because when you put them inside this nanoparticle, they would have more tendency to the cancer. Cancer tissue, they are leaky tissue. When you put them inside the nanoparticle, they trap inside those cancer tissue because the cancer tissue are leaky, and once they get inside, they don't get out, right? So they get trapped there. And that helps to increase the targeting therapy of the photosensitizers, also the chemotherapy. We wrap them into nanoparticles so we can increase their concentration to cancer tissue, because once they get trapped in, they don't go out. The other thing is that this nanoparticle, they're a little bit negatively charges relatively to the cancer. Cancer is positive, so they stick to the cancer stem cells by attraction. And then the cell will take them in by endocytosis. They eat them, right? And then what you do after you feed them with photosynthesizers and with chemo that's nano particulated. You feed them, then you shoot them with light. What will happen? They get excited. They get the electrons out. Oxygen will take these electrons, and they become free radicals, and they induce apoptosis. They increase the redox potential above minus 170, 140, and they start stimulating the killing and rusting and damaging of the cancer cells, sparing the normal tissue, right? Because this nanoparticle, they have tendency to attach the cancer cells over your healthy cells. We find out methylene blue by itself, without even putting inside the nanoparticle, they have a tendency to stick to any inflammation, any cancer, right? So that's why when you have any this ulcer in your mouth, you put methylene blue, you will see that this ulcer become dark blue. But normal tissue, it will wash out. But the inflammation and free radicals, they stick to that. Okay, maybe because methylene blue is more negatively charged, and those inflammation is more positively charged, so they stick on it. And they have this antioxidant and anti-inflammation, and they help to heal these ulcers. And we use it for patients with when they have chemotherapy or therapy, they end up with these ulcers in their mouth. They have difficulty of swallowing, so we give them methylene blue. We also give them light therapy, because light therapy helps to buffer and decrease inflammation. Red light, we put them there. Methylene blue, both helps to decrease inflammation and heal the mucosites of this ulcers. The patients sometimes they have it as a side effect from their chemo and radiotherapy. Okay, so what I did is that we combine methylene blue, we combine ICG and the cyanide green. Those are good guys, right? And photosensitizers, we add curcumin. Curcumin, what's the good thing about curcumin is that it helps to increase the sensitivity of cancer cells to the free radicals. So it's good to combine curcumin with chemotherapy. Chemotherapy generates free radicals, but cancer stem cells, which is type of cancer, they have a little bit more powerful antioxidant capacity. They can neutralize the free radicals. So when you put photosensitizer chemotherapy to them and you start to generate free radicals inside it, those kinds of stem cells, they have an ability to neutralize it and prevent apoptosis from happening. But when you do curcumin, what will happen? It sticks into the genetics, change it, makes it more sensitive to the free radical generated by the chemotherapy or generated by photosensitizer. So it assists and has synergistic effect with all those therapies we are proposing. Whether it's chemo, photo, radio, curcumin is a good thing to add in your regimen. So I combine Methylene Blue, ICG, we find those are the best out there. I did Doxil. The reason Doxil, because it's the only nano chemotherapy drug out there. There's another one, yes. So there's two nano. And all those companies right now, they're going to switch their chemotherapy into nano. Once you switch into nano, you need to rewrite the whole protocols because you need less dose than the naked chemotherapy. Naked chemotherapy goes all over the body, the healthy and the bad, and damage your healthy tissue and limit the amount of chemotherapy that you give. So the regimen has to be, say, like 3 months, right? And you cannot do more. Why? Because you will be suppressing your immune system. So it will cause more harm than more damaging to the cancer or more damaging to your body. So that's why they say, okay, so you got this session, you cannot do any more. Or when you do radiotherapy, the same thing. It damages both the healthy and bad. But if we're able to wrap them into a nanoparticle and increase their targeting to cancer cells and sparing the healthy tissue, then that's a different scenario, right? Then you can lower the dose and then you activate them with light, which will increase the efficacy. Or you activate them with thermal, right? Thermal helps to boil the whole thing, increase the reaction, cooking the tumor, helping to get that reaction happening and speeding the whole process of damaging and rusting those cancer cells. So yes, combining thermal with photodynamic therapy is the best way to go according to all the publication recently that's being published. Okay, so Methylene Blue is a good thing because it's not just for the sensitizers. We use it for managing Alzheimer's disease. It helps to recycle the waste of the Alzheimer, the brain. You know, when we grow up, we have a hard time to recycle those deposits of proteins. It's called amyloid. So Methylene Blue may help to recycle that. Same like curcumin does help to recycle those waste. We use Methylene Blue also for treating infection. So if you have periodontitis, or you have gingivitis, or all of this, you can use Methylene Blue as antibiotics, and it helps to clear it. Especially if you use those antibiotics, most of the time they have resistance to it. Methylene Blue works very well, especially when you activate with light. So there's a company already selling Methylene Blue and red light for the dentist to sterilize and to disinfect and heal the gingivitis and periodontitis, even prostatic infection of the fascial bones. They use Methylene Blue along with red light. Now you can also use it for anti-aging of the skin. So there's a lot of cosmetic cream right now mixed with Methylene Blue. Anti-aging, rejuvenation of the skin, helps the acne. Let's say a patient with psoriasis, right? And you give them the tar, doesn't work, all this big pharma product. So you can do Methylene Blue, sticks on it, and then you do red light and you clear the psoriasis. So all this hard to treat diseases, you can solve it, treat it, manage it with Methylene Blue and photodynamic therapy. Leishmania is one of the diseases that's hard to treat. And if you treat it, you use this anti-parasite, which is very toxic to the liver. Methylene Blue is an option for that. And you can do it topically. They stick, they become dark blue on this lesion of Leishmania here. And then you shine the light, see before and after, there's a difference there. You can use it for malaria as well. They stick into the malaria and you can radiate with light. So you can use it for HIV. You have a question?
And what is that?
Leishmania.
What is it?
Leishmania. Leishmania. It's a disease from North Africa. They have it because of the mosquitoes, and it's a parasite. It's equivalent to malaria, but it's affecting the skin. So this is Leishmania, and they give them antiparasite very strong. You has liver toxicity. So methylene blue is another less toxic and more effective with treating it. The other thing you can treat, squamous cell carcinoma, basal cell carcinoma, you can put it on the skin. I eradicate squamous cell carcinoma, so instead of, putting that surgical incision and taking all that skin out, just by methylene blue sticks on it and radiate with red light, and you clear the squamous cell carcinoma. Here, before and after. Okay, again, big companies, big pharma, Pfizer, name them, all those big companies right now, they are going to change all your drugs after 50 years from now into nano medicine. So you will never see any more naked. Even cardiovascular drugs for antiplatelets, they're going to be all nano. Antibiotics, if they're resistant, if you do it nano, it breaks the resistance. So all the antibiotics will be turned into nano. So all this big company right now, they are fighting each other, patenting all that stuff, paying a lot of money, doing clinical trials already for turning all these drugs into nano. The only drug right now they have, or there are two of them, Doxil is one of them for chemotherapy, but all those chemotherapy in the future is going to be nano. And here's just to show you that the investment in nanomedicine market is anticipated to such $350 billion by 2025. So that's the direction of all the big pharma. We are going to do it from tomorrow, and we do it through the compounding pharmacy. So the compounding pharmacy, you don't need to go through the clinical trials. As long as the doctor feels that this is the right thing to do, we don't want to wait 50 years from now, or I will be in the grave, right? We can start from now and helping the patients of the cancer from now, and then the big pharma, they can figure it out after 50 years. But we can do it through the compounding pharmacy and help our patient to survive. So according to a report by Ganview Research, development of novel nanotechnology-based drug and therapy is driven by the need to develop therapies that have fewer side effects. You see that nano has fewer side effects because it's more targeting to the cancer and sparing the healthy tissue. And that is more cost effective because you'll be using lower dose than the naked chemotherapy, than the traditional therapies, in particular for cancer. Application of nanotechnology-based contrast reagent, which is Dr. Shakura yesterday was talking about, using ICG to help to detect early the cancer cells, because of cancer cells will pick them up, and then you do light, you radiate with light, you excite them, and then you have the emission, and they can detect the emission, right? Exactly the same concept when they are trying to track the cosmos stars, right? How they track them, they are receiving the lights from those cosmos stars, and they're able to measure their distance, their shape, and how far they are. We can do it with cancer as well. We can early detect them using the laser and the light and the emission and the excitation, all that stuff, and help to identify them early and find out if you have cancer in your blood. That's as well. Even the liquid biopsy that the doctor was talking about, it's basically what he's doing. He has an antibody that has fluorescent, like ICG and like methylene blue, and then they stick it to the cancer cells, right? And then they see it under the microscope. So it's fluorescent, right? So the same concept, but we may be trying to talk to them to do methylene blue and endocyanine green, where they get inside the cells. You don't need antibodies, more cheaper it will be. And then it's not just for cells who have receptors. It will be including all cancer cells, because all cancer cells will take ICG and methylene blue. And if we can see them under the microscope doing that, then that is giving you more sensitivity to this procedure. So hopefully this will add more to what they're currently doing. As per the WHO fact sheet, cancer is found to be one of the major causes of mortality and morbidity worldwide. So cancer, as you know, the mainstream did fail to manage cancer. 90% of the cancer survival, it's around less than 50%. So that's the bad news. People in the cancer, the oncology, are not doing a good job because of the lack of the technology. But now we have the technology. We're going to improve the survival of this cancer. People, one day there will be supposedly no problem with treating cancer. Cancer will be like infection, and we can get rid from it. That's the direction that we are moving, especially with nano and combining the energy with nanomedicine and activation of those drugs. I think it will help a lot to eradicate cancer. So with approximately 14 million new cases in 2012 and 8.2 million cancer-related deaths, those demand for nanomedicine in order to curb such high incident rate is expected to boost the market progress during the forecast period. So that's what we are hoping. Solutions such as nanoformulation, which is what we are doing right now with the compounding pharmacy, with developing nanoformulation, with the triggered release of tailor-made pharmacokinetics nanoparticle for local control of tumor in combination with radiotherapy and phototherapy and thermal therapy as well. So possibly this is the way that we can treat cancer. Also, what we are doing, or what I'm doing, I'm extracting exosomes from stem cells. An exosome contains RNA. It's the acid of the stem cells. And then we take these exosomes and we inject it into the body, and those exosomes will be picked up by your normal cells and express antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and growth factor, which will help to manage all those chronic diseases. So that's one of the projects that I'm doing, is extracting exosomes, the acids of these stem cells, and inject them into the body. We can get it from the bone marrow stem cells. We extract exosome from it. We can extract it from fat stem cells, embryonic stem cells. We can extract it, the acids of them, and then we inject it to the body and help in the healing of the body. So that's also the future of stem cell therapy, the future of regenerative medicine, and healing all those chronic diseases. So what is exosomes? Are 40 to 100 nanometer nano-sized vesicles that are released from many cell types into the extracellular space. Such vesicles contain RNAs, which can be taken by neighborhood or distant cells and subsequently modulate the recipient cells. So the cells, when they are trying to communicate with each other, they secrete exosomes, and then the exosomes will go to the neighbor cells and change their behavior. Let's say if I'm having stem cells and I inject the stem cells will secrete the exosomes and causing the resident stem cells to start dividing and proliferating and start causing the healing. So it helps in the healing process of all these chronic diseases, whether degenerative or autoimmune or chronic inflammation. Exosome is the future of medicine. So we can treat Alzheimer, we can treat Parkinson's disease, we can treat rheumatoid arthritis by injecting exosomes. Instead of giving steroids, we give them exosomes because they will be able to express anti-inflammatory cytokines, antioxidants, and help to heal the tissues. So we can extract exosome from your fluid, bone marrow, fat, platelets, white blood cells, Siemens. You can extract Siemens as well, exosome. Uses for regenerative therapy and loading them. The other thing we can do with exosomes, we can load them with cancer drugs, right? So you put inside them cancer drugs and check in the body, and they have a tendency to go to the cancer cells. So that's another future. So instead of doing the liposome and PFGA, we can use your own exosome as a carrier and load them with cancer, inject to the body, and they will get more to the cancer cells versus the normal tissue. So this is recommended regenerative medicine therapy. For orthobiologic clinical application, I recommend using photomodulated leukocyte-rich PRP along with topical nitrocompound. I will not do exosome for patient who has a joint problem. I will do PRP, leukocyte-rich PRP, activate with light, moving into compounding. I think that's enough because exosome is very expensive for this application. And platelet is enough because they have enough of exosomes and they can produce healing as equivalent to exosomes. For cosmetic procedures, like if somebody has wrinkles in his face because of the aging, I will fill them with fat tissue, or I will fill them with fat tissue. Take them from the abdomen and then micrografting, nanografting, and then inject them into the face to fill up all the wrinkles, and that will help to slow the degeneration of the skin of the face and the aging process, and you will look more younger, like 30 years younger than your age. So that's something possibly Dr. Luna will start doing it, or Dr. Catherine will be trained to do micrografting and nanografting. So all of you at the age of 60 and 70 will be look like 20 and 30. It's better micrografting and nanografting than Botox and than other application, because it's more sustainable, stays more longer. There are stem cells, and they help to. It has more longer effect than Botox and other things that you do, collagens and hyaluronic acid, right? Because it's from your own body. For managing oxidative stress-related disease systemically, like if somebody has Alzheimer, Parkinson disease, autoimmune, rheumatoid arthritis, I recommend injecting exosomes, okay, instead of steroids, because it will help. It gives you anti-inflammation, decrease inflammation. It helps to slow the degeneration of those cells of the neurons. So I will do exosome, injecting to the blood, intrathecal, and then activate it with light. I think that's the best for systemic disease. The other thing is that we can extract exosomes from white blood cells, right? And that will help also in cancer. You take the acids of the white blood cells, which is exosomes containing RNA, and they will express all this pro-inflammatory cytokines to kill the cancer. So we did this with natural killer cells, and we have great results in treating melanoma. The other thing is about platelets. Most of the people, they do the PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma. They take 20 ml of blood, 50 ml of blood. It's not enough. It's better to take 120 or maybe even 200, because once you draw the blood from the patient, like 200 ml of blood, what will happen? What is this treatment we call it? Drawing blood from the patient, it's sort of detoxification, right? So when you remove blood, sometimes we call V-letting, right? When you take blood out from you are removing 200 ml of blood, right? You're detoxifying your body, right? And what are the things when you remove 200 ml of blood out of your body? It will stimulate your bone marrow to start secreting what? Stem cells, peripheral blood stem cells, which helps the healing process. So a lot of people, they start donating blood just to help other people, but it's also healthy practice because you remove the toxins that goes into the blood, right? Plus, you're stressing your bone marrow to start producing stem cells, and those stem cells will go to all your inflammatory lesions and help to speed the process of the healing, right? So if somebody has has osteoarthritis at the age of 50 or 60, right? So what I will do, I will not take 50 ml of blood. I'll go ahead and take 200 ml of blood. Why? Because then I'll stress the bone marrow to generate stem cells. Those peripheral blood stem cells will go to the joint and help to slow the progression of osteoarthritis, right? Then I take this 200 ml of blood into 4 syringes, let's say 60 ml, 60 ml, 60 ml, 60 ml syringe. So it will be 200, 50, 50, 54, right? And what I do, I will activate it with light. So I will expose them to red light, infrared, blue light, right? Why? To buffer the redox, to decrease inflammation, increase the nitric oxide bioavailability, right? So when I do that, treat them with light, the blood, then I will centrifuge it. Why I need to centrifuge it? Because I want to get rid from the red blood cells. Red blood cells are bad guys. In healing, they're not good because they contain iron, and iron is toxic. So you don't want to inject whole blood into your joint, right? Because that will cause damage to the cartilage due to the iron. Iron generates free radicals and causing more rusting and damage to speed the process of osteoarthritis. So what they do, they remove their blood cells. What's left is plasma. Okay, so how much left? 200 ml of each, because maybe the 30 ml is red blood cells. Half of it is red blood cells, and then what's left is half of plasma. Then I will centrifuge it again and squeeze all the platelets, white blood cells in the bottom, right? And then I will take, this is what's called the plasma-rich or PRP, that's in the bottom, along with the white blood cells. I will not remove the white blood cells, the yellow buffy coat, because they are rich of peripheral blood stem cells. So a lot of people, they are doing pure PRP and they're removing the white blood cells. That's not an ideal way. The reason because this yellow buffy coat contains peripheral blood stem cells, and I already treat them with light, which mean all these white blood cells now, they're being turned to become what? Secreting anti-inflammatory cytokines instead of pro-inflammatory cytokines. So these white blood cells, you can control them. Okay, they are not all the time soldiers and destroying tissue. You can modulate them with light where they can do building for your body. So I keep the white blood cells, peripheral blood stem cells, and the platelets. So I take 1 ml from each one of them. If I'm going to treat my 2 joints, I put 2 ml in each joints. Or if I'm treating 1 joint, I take half ml from all of this and inject them there. What about the rest of the plasma? You're going to throw it? No. Take it, inject it using as a prototherapy. Inject, just a little bit into your ligaments, into your tendons, and help to strengthen the area surrounding that joint. So that's called prototherapy. So instead of injecting sugar, you can inject your plasma, right? Or you can inject it into the face, right? This healthy plasma, you can inject it in the face, or throw it away, inject it in the face, right? Which would help to rejuvenate your face as well. So nothing, you throw it away. So people, this 200 ml of blood that I extract, I want to use it all the way, detoxifying the body, stimulating peripheral cement bone marrow to generate stem cells, and then extract the platelets and extract even the peripheral blood stem cells and take from the joints, and the rest of the plasma, don't throw it away, use it as a prototherapy or use it for skin rejuvenation of the face. Okay, so I have a patient who are suffering from a complex regional pain syndrome. Have you heard about it? Okay. Those patients, they have injured themselves, accident at work, for example, or anything that causes trauma to the body. Sometimes they don't really completely heal. What will happen is that due to the chronic pain from the injury, this causes change in your neuroplasticity of your brain, and when they change the neuroplasticity of the brain, it can lead to activation of your sympathetic nerve at that area and causing a lot of sympathetic activities in the arm that's being injured, which will release the norepinephrine. Norepinephrine will stimulate the NOx enzyme, generate free radicals, and cause inflammation in and you would have the skin discolored. In other words, you will see blue patches, red patches, white patches, because of the vasoconstriction, and then the inflammation causes vasodilation. So you see some blueness and whiteness and redness and inflammation and swelling. And that condition is called complex pain regional syndrome, or reflex sympathetic dystrophy. And even if you touch the patient like this, they start screaming. It's very sensitive. They have anodemia, hypergesia. So really they are suffering. These patients, they may end up with amputation of their arm. We try with the mainstream protocols, injecting the sympathetic ganglion, decreasing inflammation with lidocaine, helps to suppress it, but it's not that effective. This patient, he was taking the highest dose of narcotic, gabapentinized dose, 5 years of suffering from the injury that he had at work. He was drilling, I think, in the manufacturer, and he ended up twisting his hand and injured his nerves. And they did some surgery, failed those surgery, translocation of ulnar nerve, it worked. So I treat them with light photomedicine. So I put light in his neck instead of injecting steroid. I put light in his arm. I put topical cream containing alpha-lipoic acid, nitroxide, polyphenols. It's called nitrocompounding, right? And I help to suppress the whole inflammation, buffer the redox, help to restore the sympathetic tone back to normal. Around 6 months to 1 year, he's back to normal. Normal life, all his narcotic is zero. Everything is good. He's back to work and back to his family. Almost he lost his family because he's almost homeless, right? And he cannot even shower. And now he's back to his normal life. So that was a great accomplishment that I made. I published it in Harvard Medical School with Dr. Michael Humlin, and that's there is a wellness center in Harvard Medical School specialized in photomedicine, photodynamic therapy. So I'm working with those team as well. And I publish articles at SBIT 2014, 2016. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the end of the lecture. So do you have any questions? Yeah? No questions? Everything is good? Okay. Thank you very much.